welcome to Sacred Spaces. My name's Michaela Dreberg, and today we've headed outside of Melbourne and we're at the Geelong Library and Heritage Centre. You can see behind me it's really distinctive, so I've got a few people that are going to talk us through some of the amazing features. We've got Wayne Sanderson, who's here from ARM Architecture. Welcome, Wayne.
Good morning.
And we've got our old friends from Ability Building Colours. We've got Michael Tracy and Bob Barger. Welcome. So, how does one even begin to design for a project like this? What was the brief you were given?
Well, Geelong Council, so the City of Greater Geelong and the Geelong Regional Library Corporation developed a brief which went out to open invitation. We were lucky enough to become one of a shortlisted group that were then asked to put together a submission as in the form of a design. And this building behind us is the realisation of that process, which has taken probably, in our terms, about 2.5 years and maybe a little bit longer. And from the Geelong Council's point of view, probably in the order of 5 years in the process of achieving funding, getting the building brief constructed, and then for our team to come up with a design concept and deliver the building.
And here we are today. They've just celebrated it being open for 6 months. Initially opened in November 2015. So a brand new project and a really standout project, not only for libraries, but for civic life in general. Now, I cannot go past the exterior of the building and this standout dome, which is actually a sphere. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Well, again, civic buildings traditionally have got a dome on the top of them, or they're adorned with a dome. Our design concept, or one of the three that we're asked to do as part of the briefing competition, was to come up with an idea that represented both its historical context, but reflected the progressive and forward-thinking approach of the client, the end user, Geelong Regional Library Corporation, as well as the Geelong City of Greater Geelong, the council.
And this is where Ability Building Colours came in as well, because they're distinct colours within the dome. So, Bob, tell us a little bit about the colours that have been used on the exterior of the building.
Well, each panel of the dome is different colour. We blended 4 colours in total. Oh, sorry, 5, wasn't it? 5 colours. And it's really set off the dome, in our opinion, and the glass windows also helps to set off the colours.
It certainly does. And what do you have to add about this, Michael? Tell us a little bit more about the colours.
Okay, so with our Abilox colour range, we consider that we can provide most colours that people want in concrete. No problem. When I was talking to Wayne said, no, that's not good enough. I want it this shade. So we worked closely together, and Wayne was very good at communicating what colours he was actually after, which enabled us to put together the exact colours that ARM were happy with, and that allowed us to go ahead. We blended the colours, and then we sent them to a Serco to make the glass reinforced concrete panels, and it's all very high quality workmanship from them, and behind us is what you see, the finished result.
So Wayne, colour is a key feature both on the exterior and the interior of the building. Can you tell us about some of the important history that's related to the colour and why some of the colours were chosen?
Yes, the external colour scheme and the internal colour scheme are slightly different. The external colours that we've chosen reflect the heritage context that the building sits within. The Peace Memorial to the northern side of the building that we abut, the Town Hall, which is further down to the eastern side, and the general proximity to a number of significant buildings that are in this part of the cultural precinct of Geelong. Internally, it's a slightly different focus. We've used Goethe's colour wheel as a driver, if you like, for the basic colour scheme. So as you'll see when you get through the building, there are some quite outstanding colours, a very bright orange, a very bright red, and then we've got the bright blue oxide, which Michael has helped put together for us, as well as some of the more muted tones. So there's some other blues but and a grey floor that all go together to form what is quite a distinctive colour palette for this building.
And the use of colour is something that I've spoken about with Michael and Bob previously, but it's usually been with heritage buildings. So this is a really new and exciting project that Ability Building Colours has been a part of. Can you tell us about your involvement with the project and what it means for your company?
I think it's proof of what we can do. It proves that we can match colours for whatever the customer wants, and that's what we say we do. But to see the colours all working together on the dome and inside, the grey and the blue, it shows that when an architect gets the colours that we produce, what can really come out of it. So it's really great to see the finished result and the satisfaction we get from seeing the colours in use.
Now, our viewers can see just how gorgeous this building is from the outside, but inside is just as beautiful and has so much meaning behind it and really reinforces that libraries have really evolved over the years. So I'm dying to show everyone a closer look. Can you guys take me for a tour?
Sure, certainly.
Lead the way. So Wayne, we're in the traditional library areas of the building now, but what is this space known as?
Well, this is the inspiration space. So this is essentially on level 2. It's a floor for the adults, or geared towards the adults. It's again, the library space is divided up into, on this floor particularly, is divided up into 2 distinct areas. This end that we're standing in at the moment is more a reflective space and a quieter space, and then further towards the north it's more of a traditional library setup where we've got books on shelves on show, and then further on right to the end of the building on the north, again overlooking the Johnson's Park and the bay, we've got a series of meeting rooms.
And not only are we exposed to a traditional area for library and the book stacks, there's also the meeting rooms, and then there's some unusual art as well.
Yeah, on the wall, so the northern wall of the meeting rooms, we've digitally altered a painting by an artist, Eugene von Gerard. That artwork we've used as a wallpaper on the wall, and that is what's called the View of Geelong. And the View of Geelong from the same vantage point now is the digital artwork. And if you were to remove that from the wall or peel that away, you'd have the same view as in that picture. But in the current condition.
So we can't go past the colour of the flooring. And Wayne told us about the distinction between the blue area and the grey area, but no doubt there's been a lot of thought put behind the colour aspects of it. So Bob, what makes this floor so special to you and to Ability Building Colours?
Well, the blue is cobalt blue, red shade cobalt blue, and the grey is a special grey that we mixed up and supplied, and it's a total floor. The heating is in the floor, so it's sustainable, and it's a wonderful floor.
I agree. And Michael, you were telling me that it's quite unique to have a cobalt blue floor.
Yeah, cobalt blue was used in a lot of trim. It's used in renders sometimes, but rarely is it used in integral concrete. The whole topping of this slab is coloured right through. If it chips, it will still be the same colour. If you drag something across it and you've got this big drag line, it will still be the same colour underneath. It makes it a lot more user-friendly, but yes, it is a very standout colour for this sort of project, and it definitely differentiates between the blue and the grey. It's definitely a contrast.
Well, Wayne, we're on the first floor of the building now, and where exactly are we?
Well, this floor is dedicated to children. So this is what we call the reading nest. This is the southern end, and the northern end is the cave. So the southern end is for little children, so they have activities and events in here which are geared towards toddlers or even babies. You hear one in the background. Quite a popular space again. And then as we walk through the building into the centre, There's an arts room or a wet area, which is a little bit unusual for a library space to have an interactive arts program. Then on the far end, it's geared towards the youth end, so the cave. And in that end, we've got interactive video, a large format TV, some gaming consoles, and other, sort of left of field, more technologically based activities for youth.
And this floor, to me anyway, really demonstrates the value of libraries and how it's become so much more than a traditional library with only offerings of books, and really reinforcing that we've moved from lending to learning. And it was something that was really important to the brief of this project. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. This building is seen more of a socially inclusive space. It's not your traditional library in the sense that it's only geared around books and borrowing. It's more an information and technology hub, a learning centre. And a lot of the programs that have been developed by the GRLC are all about that social interaction, regardless of where you come from and what your situation is. It's a very high-end space. It provides for very high-end internet connectivity, and it's also used as a space where some of the local professionals or business people come, because of the speed of the internet here, they come and use the space as a secondary office or as a meeting space as well. So some of the incidentals that you hope for when you design these sorts of buildings to become a part of the civic fabric of the city and part of the social hub or the social network of Geelong.
And not only is the inside gorgeous, but you've got a little terrace garden there as well. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so over my right side there, there's a connected terrace which is effectively linked to, or is linked to, the level 1 space for the children. It's a garden terrace, and it's part of this interaction between Johnson's Park, which is the Heritage Listed Park out to the west, and the building itself. So there's a transition between the landscape fabric and then the built fabric, and that the garden terrace for the children is a landscaped piece of the building that people can interact both inside and outside.
Well, we're inside the dome now, Wayne, and this is only one of the rooms where you can see what is such a key feature to the building from the outside, but one of the only rooms, or the only room in here, where you could get a sense of the dome effect. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure, Michaela. So on level 5, this is the only space in the building where the geometry of the outside of the building is reflected internally. So we have these large volume spaces up to 6 metres above the floor level here. Obviously, the key feature of the room is the bright orange colour. Another prominent wayfinding idea for the building. So this level being high up, it reflects the setting sun and the rising sun. So we've got a large facing deck to the northern side. So it's one of the very few places in Geelong, and specifically for this building, where we're looking out over the water, so out of Corio Bay, and the Yuyangs are in the distance, and also have a western face here as well. Unlike the other levels, it doesn't have a balcony or a deck on the west, because the large deck is on to the northern side.
And the decking, which gives us a view of that fabulous scenery that you just talked about, is the only decking that is general public access as well. Is that correct?
That's correct. So the function space is a commercial space. So it's used both internally for the Library Corporation, but also is hired out to for other events, such as in the future it'll be for weddings. They do a lot of book launches in here and have done in the past. Ian and I did a talk in here when the building was open, which we were quietly surprised on how successful that was, and hopefully we'll do another one in the not too distant future. But the deck is part of the function space. All the doors to the north open up, so we've got a fully integrated deck with the internal space. It's an open deck. It looks out over Corio Bay and can hold somewhere in the order of about 100 people. So quite a large space and quite a prominent part of the building's external geometry as well.
And that's not even counting this internal space, which has such a wow factor when you walk in. Not only does the colour hit you in the face, and there's different colours throughout the building, but also just this roofing is unbelievable, and really reinforces that you are inside the dome.
Yeah, certainly it is. It's quite a remarkable space, we think, and the general public who have been into the space are a little wowed by it as well. And that's part of the success of the architecture. If someone is happy with the space or draws the reaction, then we've done what we would consider a good job.
You certainly have. So we're in another very distinctive room now and recognised by the colour red. But where exactly are we, Wayne?
So this is level 3 of the building. This is the Heritage Centre. Part of the design brief was to fully integrate a heritage centre within the library operations and within the library building. And the red room, as it's commonly known or commonly referred to, is this place.
So the heritage room, or the red room that we're in right now, is accessible to the public, but it only takes up a fraction of the floor space. Where else and what else is taken up on this floor?
So, 1/3 of the floor is the public accessible space, and that's where most of the public interface happens. To the north of us, there's the large repository, which is where the whole collection's been amalgamated into one single area. So there were satellites of storage in other regional centres of Victoria, and they've all been amalgamated into this one centre, which allows for future use and future research that happens within the centre. And the access is much more streamlined now because it's all on the one side.
And so a very significant room, not only in colour, but it is the Geelong Library and Heritage Centre. So rightfully has a place not only in the title of the building, but in terms of where it stands out within the building as well. So thank you so much for taking the time to show us around today, guys. There's so many different aspects of the building which are really standout features. So it's going to be really tricky for you to answer this last question I have for you all, and that is, if you could choose a sacred space, where would it be?
Oh, it is a hard question. This building is, for us, quite an exceptional building for what it represents in Geelong, but not only Geelong, but for ARM as a practice as well. I think the area we're standing in is probably one of the most impressive parts of the building for me. Not only is it on the children's level, so that's reflective of the future generation for Geelong, and that's part of what the building stands for. But we're also nestled into our geometric interpretation, what the grotto may be, and looking out over Johnson's Park, it certainly is a special place.
Wow, that went really deep there, Wayne, but I can certainly see why you've chosen this space. What about yourself, Michael? What's your sacred space?
My sacred space would have to... I like the dome itself. I like the view from the distance. I like the view from close up. It's actually good being underneath it. Even when you're inside and underneath up near the roof, you can actually still see the shape of the dome from the inside. So it has to be the dome.
It really is a standout feature. And Bob, what is your sacred space?
My favourite sacred space is the actual dome and the different colours of the dome. They were made by Des Pulowski, who runs a company called Serco, in Adelaide. And we made up 5 special colours for him and for the architects who specified it. It's a wonderful, wonderful building.
And it's no surprise that Ability Building Colours enjoyed the dome aspect. It's such a standout feature of this building, but as we've shown, there are so many other amazing features, and I'm really glad we've had a chance to have a look at it. My name's Michaela Dreberg. You've been watching Sacred Spaces, and we'll see you next time.